Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Digital Nomad Accelerator. Day one of live coaching is about to begin in about 1 minute, about 60 seconds time. So there's a couple of people online. If you are online, say hello. Where are you from? Oops, I just muted myself 1 second. So there should be a chat box around here somewhere. I do believe there's going to be a slight delay. So if when I ask questions and if you put out a question, just realize there might be a slight delay. So if I continue to go on, I will come back to those questions. Basically, my promise over the next 5 days is to answer every single question that you have. And if I don't know the answer, I'll be very upfront about that and try and point you in the right direction or give you some knowledge based on just business in general. I've been fortunate enough to actually be a head of digital marketing for a company in Australia that teaches business owners how to actually build a business. So there's a lot of transferable skills that comes from just building a traditional business or any business whatsoever that that I learned through working for them for a period of time. So even if I don't have complete experience in the questions that you ask, I can definitely share the knowledge that I learned from that. And it's actually a really great benefit of like being in the positions that I've been over the years, where I've worked for a lot of different companies as well as had a lot of different clients in different industries. So I've been able to gain a lot of experience in all types of niches and industries and things like that. I spent over $1 million on Facebook ads for my clients. I've helped generate over $5 million in revenue for my clients and my own brand. So I have a lot to share with you, but the best way for you to get that information that's going to serve you best is to ask questions. John is on the line. Hi, John. Great to have you here. Tara is on the line from Kansas in USA. I'm my very first going to USA for my very first time in exactly 7 days. I'll be flying into Miami first of all, going on a cruise through the Caribbean and then back in Miami or somewhere around there for a couple of days and then down to Costa Rica. So should be lots of fun. I also have a day or two in LA on the way home. So short trip through the US, but I'm excited for it nevertheless. All right. John and Tara, what is the number one thing that you're looking to gain from today and tonight's training, depending on where you are in the world? What is the number one thing that you're looking to gain? And second to that, everybody on the call right now, have you actually taken the time to do the preparation video that I sent out yesterday that gets you to think about your goals and your vision for your business? Because without a vision, there's nothing, you don't know what you're working towards. And if you don't know what you're working towards, you don't know when you've achieved that outcome. So measuring your business is very important. One of the biggest things that I've learned over the last couple of years is actually how to measure your results. And that comes from day-to-day results, especially when you start becoming a little bit more advanced and running ads all the time. You want to be keeping a very close eye on money that is going out into an advertising platform to make sure that it's going to be profitable or at least, towards your goals if your goal is not profit. Basically measurement is super important. And the only way you can measure that is if you have a goal or a target to actually measure against. Tara says, those are the two farthest points from me. So I guess LA and Miami. There you go. So maybe we won't get to see each other this time, Tara. I do plan to do a trip, like a big trip around the US one day. But definitely can't do that this time. John says, not yet, but I want to find a good niche so I can work remotely and make decent income. Absolutely. And I think tomorrow will probably be a really good one for you to tune in on, John, and ask lots of questions about finding a niche and things like that. I can probably dig up a template that remind me of this. Maybe send me an email after this. Actually, no, I'll just give me 2 seconds and I'll copy this comment into my calendar. What I'm going to do for you, John, is dig up a template. I'm not sure if I have it, but if I don't have it, I can find it online, where it sort of gives the top overarching niches that are highly profitable, but then you've got your sub niches as well. So typically, most profitable niches fall into 3 categories, and that is business or money, And the second one is health and wellness, things like that. And then the third one is relationships, so like dating and things like that. If you can find a sub niche within those three, it's typically going to be highly profitable. That's where people spend most of their money. Tara says, I was laid off a month ago trying to get out of survival mode with paid jobs and then just focus business development. Awesome. Good plan. Like, you don't want to be building a business when you're strapped for cash. So I built my first business up part-time while working a full-time job. And the reason why I worked a full-time job was so I could save money. So I wanted to get a buffer for when I did go full-time into the business. And then also, so yeah, that was the biggest reason. So yeah, I did that basically 2 hours a day. I would work on, at the time, a side hustle, and then at least all day Saturday, and then sometimes a Sunday as well. And basically built that up to about 5,000 or 6,000 or probably 4,000 subscribers at the time. And we're just about to launch our next summit. Some of you guys heard this story already. And I knew the next summit was going to take off because we'd already done well in the previous one. And so I decided to quit my job because I had about $10,000 in savings. I had a bit of an email list, and I had a proven product. And then that very next month, we did over $50,000 in sales, which at the time was about 75,000 Australian dollars, which was way more than what I was making in an entire year. So good plan on having a bit of a buffer when you do launch a digital business. So yeah, good stuff. John is 75 miles from LA. Right. Maybe a little bit too far to get there in one day's time, but next time, John, absolutely. I have a lot of friends in LA, actually, so I will be coming back. Mon says, Mitch, can I also please get that document? Absolutely. I'll put it in the members area. I'll just put that into my calendar for tomorrow. Might get that today. And awesome. You're in Sydney. Nice. I love that. Sydney is a great city. Can be a little bit much for me at times. I lived in my van for 6 months in Sydney, and it was fun, but it was also too much. I'm glad to be out of the craziness of Sydney. However, I'm always drawn back there. It's a beautiful city. All right. Let's dive into today, guys. So I'm going to share my screen and continue asking questions along the way. Actually, I don't even know if it can share my screen. I'm really upset with YouTube Studio, and they had a really good product for live streaming, but they actually don't have that anymore. So anyway, it doesn't matter about not sharing the screen because it wasn't very pretty anyway. So day number 1, we're talking about social media domination. And the first place to start, and a lot of people are probably sick of hearing this as much as I was when I was first getting started, because you're always thinking about, I just want to know the things that make you money. But the longer that you stay in the game, and the longer that you realize what's really important is mindset. And I'm not going to stay on this too long, but mindset is 100% the most important part to get right from the beginning. And sometimes you're not going to get it right from the beginning. It's going to take a few failures, and most of all, it's going to take a few successes to have that you need to have in order to build some confidence. But getting your mindset right is super important. So that's why I added in, people like Juliet Lever, Arabelle Yee, Dylan Willis to the summit, because they're ones who really have some really great advice around how to actually get your mindset right for success. And until you get that right, nothing really changes. I know for me, the number one thing that changed my mindset from the time where I was sort of struggling to the time that I wasn't struggling as much anymore was I got to a place where I started to expect things. And it sounds easy to say, but until you actually have that life experience for yourself, it's actually a little bit of a hard one to wrap your mind around. So what do I mean by I started to expect things? I think when you start out in business, there's a lot of doubt, right? There's a lot of overwhelm because there's a lot to do. And when you launch something, there's also probably a lot of skepticism in the market, and rightly so. So when you're learning from someone, or when you purchase a course like this, or when you invest in a coach, there's also this little bit of skepticism that pops up in most people. And it's especially true for Australians. You know, we've got the tall poppy syndrome here. You know, I think that's a bit of BS, but anyway, that's a different story for a different time. And that's why I love, you know, advertising in America so much, because they're definitely, like, Americans want to get out there and live the dream, right? And I love that about the people in that part of the world. So, but there's always going to be a little bit of a level of skepticism. So that means when you're putting something out there into the world, there's these subconscious fears and doubts and limiting beliefs that are butting up against the goal or the outcome that you want to achieve. So it's when if your goals and your vision are too far out there, and it's something that's like beyond belief and beyond achievement, and you launch and you don't even get anywhere close to that, then you sort of start to create, or you start to perpetuate those limiting beliefs in that cycle. Whereas eventually, if you stick with it long enough, or if you set up more realistic goals from the beginning, you start to build momentum in the right way. So whatever you and like, I can tie this in probably more on day number 5 as well, where the way that you feel, the way that you are, and the thoughts that you have creates your external reality. So if you have these subconscious thoughts about what you're not going to achieve, then that's what you're going to perpetuate. And I did this for my very first summit. I had a massive goal of like making $30,000 US, where the most I'd ever made online before that was about $100 in a single month. So having this goal of going from like $100 a month to $30,000, I had a lot of doubt that I could actually get there. However, I'd seen friends do that before, or hit that $30,000 before, but they had a whole lot more experience in digital marketing than what I did. So when I launched this summit and only made, you know, $700 or $800 in a month, I was actually really disappointed. However, if you look at the actual tangible results from that, going from $100 to $700 in a single month, that's a 700% increase in your revenue, right? So that's pretty big. Like, if you could just increase your revenue by 700% every single month, you'd be a very rich person very, very quickly. So the reality was actually quite good, but my reality wasn't, because I set my expectations too far ahead. Now, that's like me as like a high achiever as well. There's also going to be people on the opposite end of the scale where they set their expectations too low and then they actually meet them, and also don't feel great because they haven't achieved what they want. So getting your mindset is right. And I'm actually going completely off track here, but I think it all ties in well with some of the points that I had, which is, first thing to realize when we're talking about social media is everyone starts from zero. So when you're posting on a daily basis, or, you know, a few times a week, there's going to be people not showing up. And it's actually, I talked about this at some point during the summit, you know, it's actually a challenge for me right now to be starting from zero again, because in my previous business, we had this email list of over 50,000 people. When we would do a live call like this, we'd have at least 1,000 people online, and like the comments would be going crazy. Whereas now there's 4 people online, and sometimes I've got to like check myself to say, no, Mitch, you're starting again. This is a great time to do things better. How can you provide more value than you did before, and not get caught up in the numbers? And like I guess the benefit that I have now is that I've been there before, so I know the path to get there again, and I know that it doesn't happen instantly. So I'm not hard on myself about that. And, you know, if you can understand that as well, that things are not going to happen instantly. Sometimes they will, which is awesome, but typically in most people's cases, it's not going to happen instantly. So everyone starts from zero, and it's this gradual climb. And even if, like, some people get upset that there's 4 people online or there's 100 people online, you know, if you were to try and gather 100 people to watch a live call with you and get them in a room, it's going to cost you at least $15,000 in room hire, getting your seats, your marketing, all of that type of stuff. Whereas we can pretty easily go live to our Facebook friends right now and get maybe 20 to 100 people online, depending on how many friends you have that are going to see that video. So social media is powerful in that way. Sure, it comes up with challenges of, like, you know, people engaging and things like that, but just realizing that everyone starts from zero, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I think once you set yourself up for those expectations, then you start to go easy on yourself. And when you go easy on yourself, you don't have a whole lot of resistance, which then makes it a lot easier to achieve your outcome. Are you guys relating with that so far? Like, let me know in the comments there. Let me just check the comments as well. Bright side, you're able to give better quality individualized attention to 4 people versus hundreds. Yeah, exactly what I talked about there, Tara. You're 100% right. Now, the second thing that I want to touch on is a very common theme that I'm seeing this year, especially. So, like I said, I've been doing digital business, digital marketing now for 5 years. There was a period where everything was super polished, right? Like, the quality of the videos going on YouTube were like tons of post-production editing and things like that. The graphics going onto social media were like really high end. And this especially comes back to, and I'm talking about like big time creators, like people running high 6, 7, 8 figure businesses. However, a very common trend that I'm hearing in a lot of those people's businesses and the content that they're putting out there is that the less polished and the less perfect it is, the more people engage. And I did cover this in my presentation during Digital Nomad sessions, where people just get a little bit sick of that because it's no longer relatable. I've got my notes today set up on text edit again on Mac, and if I could share my screen, that's all it was going to be, me just scrolling down my notes in just black and white. And I do that intentionally now, as first of all as a test to see if I can clarify what I'm hearing online as well, in terms of people getting better engagement from their community and making it more relatable. But also, it's just like the quality of the content is actually more is more important than how it looks. You could have the most polished presentation, the most polished video, all of that type of stuff, and you're going to attract a certain type of person to that. But if your content is just super valuable, then that's what matters the most, right? And that's what's going to get the result for the people out there. And if you can get someone a result, then they're going to love you forever. So focus on quality of content over the quality of post-production, and you're definitely going to be heading in the right direction as well. And then I'm not saying like there's no time and place for like making it polished and perfect, but just realize you don't have to have that from the beginning to dominate on social media. And then realize it's real people on the other end. Like, I think we've already established that a little bit, like Tara said, is you're able to give better quality, more individualized attention when you think about the other person on the other end. So I try and think about, I actually try and like connect in with my audience before a presentation. So it comes back to like a bit of a metaphysical thing where maybe we can get a bit woo-woo for a second. Like, your intention of how you actually deliver something is so important. So if you're diving into a call or a social media post or a video that you're putting up on YouTube where you're highly stressed out, where you've just had a fight with your partner, where you've eaten some really bad, unhealthy food, all of that type of stuff, it actually lowers your vibration, lowers your energy. And more than ever before in the history of our time, people can like gauge the energy of somebody else. So for me today, the way that I prepare every single day, but especially when doing a call like this, is as soon as I wake up, I meditate for anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes. Then I do some like deep breathing, some breath work to stimulate the energy through my entire body. And it also helps me become more flexible and things like that. Then I'm starting my day with the medicinal hot chocolate. If you haven't seen that on YouTube yet, definitely go check that out. I posted the entire recipe this week. But these are the things that make me happy every single morning, and these are the things that get my day started in the best way possible. For live trainings like this, I'm also trying to think as much as possible, how can I record that at a time that is going to serve me best in terms of my energy levels and things like that. So that's why, like, for me right now, it's 10 a.m. It's probably the peak of how I'm going to be during the day. I haven't had, an entire day to get a lot of work done, which could bring up a whole host of challenges that come with building a business by getting emails or having conversations with people that are that you'd prefer not to have, but you have to have while building a business. So I try and schedule my trainings and things like that and recording times at a time where I know I'm going to be at my best. And then hopefully when I'm at my best, the right words come through me that I need to say in order to connect with my audience. And these are just some of the things that I've learned over the years that have really served me, because if you had known me like 10 years ago, I basically, I worked on power lines, first of all. So I was a tradesman. I had no selling or communication skills at all, like besides your typical bogan tradey talk that you probably don't want to be using in presentations like this. But over the years, I've come to realize that I need those skills. And for me to learn those skills, I've had to learn how to actually structure that and how to build a framework around that for me to learn, because I'm not one of those people where you might say you have like the gift of the gab, or someone who can sell ice to an Eskimo, things like that. I've had to learn these skills, and the biggest thing that made the biggest difference for me, coming back to what I was talking about before, which is the intention. And sure, you've got to practice, you've got to know your craft, you've got to practice. You're going to be bad in the beginning. You're going to have your bad days. I still think I have bad days. I definitely do have bad days, but you get better and better. And the more that you trust yourself and that intention that you set when you're delivering a presentation, the better it continues to get. And then it just creates this self-fulfilling cycle that the better it gets, right? So yeah, that's probably my final thing that I want to say on mindset, because we do have a lot to get into today. So if that's resonated with you guys, let me know. If you have any further questions on that, let me know as well. More than happy to dive further into that. So we're going to be continuing on with some action steps now. And this is probably a part where you want to take a few notes. I can also share this little document with you in the members area. So if you do want that, there's not a lot of notes on here. So you're probably going to get better notes just by writing this down than me sharing it with you. So I'm going to dive into that in a second. I'm just stalling to see if there's any questions coming in. Before I dive into that, I will grab a quick little drink. I also just had a conversation with Jesse Fester, one of the speakers from the summit. We have some really cool stuff coming up for you guys next month as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. All right, cool. No more questions. Let's dive in. So action steps. This is it. Let's dive in. Action steps. Number one, you need to figure out who you are speaking to. And this is like before social media. This is even before you start building your business. I know you guys online are sort of saying that you're in the very, very early stage. You need to figure out who you are speaking to, because until you become obsessed with who your customer or your potential customers are, that's where you'll find that you're putting a lot out there, but spinning your wheels. And the reason why I know that is because that's exactly what I've been doing for the last 6 months. However, the reason why I've been doing it for the last 6 months without getting super clear was a whole host of different reasons. Number one, I was putting out YouTube because I wanted to practice more than anything. I wanted to test a lot. YouTube was, up until now, was a platform that I'd never really spent a lot of time on. In my last business, I think I still actually own that YouTube channel. There's about 2,500 subscribers up on there, but we had zero strategy whatsoever. So that was sort of just by time and by chance that we built that many subscribers. So I wanted to see different thumbnail designs, different ways to edit the video. Secondly, I already had an existing business that was doing really well. So the purpose of creating YouTube videos wasn't to grow an audience. It was just to get to know the platform. And third, I wanted to do it for practice for myself so that I could become a better content creator. And I know that the first 20 videos that I create is going to be way worse than the next 100 videos that I create. So those types of things are the reason why I didn't get clear. But the process that I'm going through now, then that's a big reason why I'm taking some time off next month, is to get super clear on who I'm targeting, what are their fears. So these are the questions you need to ask yourself. Who are you speaking to? What's the niche that you're speaking to? And then who are they? Who are they really? What age are they? What sort of jobs are they currently in? Do they have a job currently, or are they business owners? What are the TV shows that they watch? Where do they frequent a lot? So where are they spending their money? So they're sort of like the demographic type of questions. Then you want to, and then probably more importantly than that is, what are their challenges or their things that keep them up at night, and what do they want and need from you, and just in general from a coach or someone trying to help them overcome their challenges and their fears. And when you can get super clear on all of those things, that's when you'll start to make a little bit of progress, because once you're clear on that, you know how to craft your copy in your social media posts and your landing pages and your offer pages and things like that. You know how to speak the language that you need to use when you're doing like presentations and creating content like that. And then it helps if you're going to be like running traffic and things like that. So get really clear on that. And one of my clients who actually did this process, this was the best that I've ever seen it done, is for each product that he had. So he had two products. One was like a $15,000 product. Another one was a $40,000 product, $45,000 product. For the two products, each of the demographics or each of notes in Google Docs. So it was from like, and they also gave them a name for each of these. We just got a note there to say that it was unstable. Can you guys still hear me? I think that might have dropped out for a second. I think it's good now though. So yeah, anyway, back to this client. He had like a lot of really great information for each of them, and he gave them a name. So like Sally is this age, this is her frustrations. She's currently coming up against these problems. She's having these issues within her business. She's having these issues within her life. She's having she feels like she has like imposter syndrome, because she's had this level of success up until this point and everyone thinks that she is successful. However, she's still got no money in the bank, and all of these types of things, and like really detailed notes. And when you have something like that, as your business grows, it's going to continue to evolve. So you should always iterate it, but it allows you to keep coming back to that every time you create an offer. And then when you start outsourcing certain things that are more specialized parts of your business, like copywriting, for example, this is what a copywriter is going to ask you for, this type of information. So you've already got it there ready to go. So it's going to save you time further down the track as well as you start to hire more people. So getting super clear on who you're speaking to is absolutely essential if you want to get traction quickly. Any questions on that, guys? We're going to move on to number 2 here. Yes, I can now, but couldn't. Thanks, Tara. Yeah, I mean, I saw the notification come up. I don't know why that is. I did get a phone call at the exact same time. However, I wasn't running it off my phone. I was running it off my 4G modem, which is in the front at the window. And it shouldn't have affected it, but it might have. But I've got it on airplane mode now, so it should be fine. All right, cool. Let's keep continuing in. When you're getting started, my advice is to choose 1 or 2 social media platforms. And I'm going to give you the benefits of, so basically the ones to be thinking about are YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, and maybe TikTok, depending on your niche. And then podcasts as well, probably, so like iTunes. So choosing 1 or 2 platforms, the benefits of YouTube and Pinterest are that they are SEO platforms, so search engine platforms, which means the content that you create today can actually be searchable within a year, within 5 years, within 10 years. Whereas if you created content specifically for Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook first, they're not so much search engines, and that content could be dead within sometimes a few minutes, but at least within a few days. Sometimes you'll get content that will, circle around the internet, but they're viral videos. Depending on your niche, it's probably going to be hard to get a viral video out there. It can be done. Like I got a VanLIFE viral video that went out there, it had over 1 million views on Facebook, but yeah, probably not going to happen. So my suggestion is this: if you're going to choose 2 platforms, choose YouTube or Pinterest as your first platform. Create content first for that platform. That is, you need to do some like search engine keyword research and things like that, which I can dive into at another time. But if you're creating content for that first, and then you repurpose that into a different format for Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So for me, for example, I can share with you the ones that I'm focusing on is YouTube first all of the time. Reason being is a lot of reasons. For me, a big reason is to get away from Facebook ads. They're still the most cost-effective way to grow a business. However, working with the Facebook company as a whole, I don't really agree with. They're for a lot of different reasons that we're not going to get into today. So I'm creating content for YouTube first. The second reason is because it is searchable. It's going to be searchable for the long term. And the third reason is there's actually the ability to generate passive income from your YouTube channel. Passive income, I don't really agree with a whole lot because, for the most part, it's a little bit of a buzzword within the industry, and it's not really passive income. I guess the perception is people want to make money without doing work whatsoever, and there is an element of that can happen. However, you generally need to be still creating consistent videos on YouTube to be able to get consistent passive income from AdSense, for example. But there is still that opportunity, and it serves a whole host of other benefits as well. So I'm creating content for YouTube first, and then sometimes we'll repurpose it onto Instagram or Facebook. However, Instagram and Facebook is sort of there to feed YouTube and to build a better relationship with my community. So let me dive back into my notes. Keep me on track. Sometimes I get so excited about this stuff that I go off track. So I always need to refer to notes when I do trainings. So yeah, that's the benefits of YouTube and Pinterest is SEO. Benefits of Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook groups is it can be easier to get content out there quickly. So you can do a live super quickly on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. You can also do that on YouTube, to be honest, as well. You can create content easier on Instagram and Facebook. If you're going to use Facebook groups. Facebook feed is pretty much dead. I wouldn't really bother about that too much. And you don't want to be posting all of the time in front of your friends and family. That also becomes a little bit annoying. So yeah, and then bonus tip is repurpose your content you're already creating. For example, you can create, podcasts. Okay, so what I mean by this is another way to get your name out there, and we can touch on this later in the week, is getting featured in the media. And media can be traditional media, sure, but that's probably not really where you're going to get to straight away. But what I mean by media is like getting interviewed by people. So you can do Facebook Lives, like combine Facebook Lives with other people. You can do things like Instagram takeovers and jump on an Instagram story for another account, or you can get start pitching people and get interviewed for people's podcasts as well. So like, I'm just going to take the podcast example. So when you're doing a podcast, you could actually be sitting here on camera like this. So like me, I am to you, talking directly at the camera. But then you can just take your phone and set it up on a tripod. So like, just imagine there's a tripod in front of my computer right now, and you can pop it on video and then just hit record and record like a bit of a side angle of you getting interviewed by this person for the podcast. So I do this with pretty much every podcast that I get interviewed for. And I record all of the things that I'm saying in that moment to then have those recordings on hand to either send to my team, or sometimes I do it myself if I want to review that interview, and chopping that down into maybe like 1 minute or 3 minute pieces that I can put out there onto social media. And you can do that quite simply with just some very basic video editing, which I'm going to touch on later in the presentation, of creating the square videos that you see on Facebook, and they've got like the upper and lower thirds of a headline at the top. You've got your captions down the bottom, and you can get them up onto your social media so easily without actually taking the time to create more content. Because creating content is time consuming, right? So you want to be able to use your time effectively. And yeah, it just makes it so much easier. So doing like those types of little hacks saves you so much time, so that you can be focusing on what really matters, which is generating revenue within your business. Tara says, genius. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm definitely not a genius, but I've just learned the hard way over the years. So yeah, doing those types of things. I can probably do a training, or I'm going to do a YouTube video later at some point around how you can create those square videos completely for free. So I will do that. You can probably YouTube that now, but I'll give you the tools that you need. Actually, the tools are coming. So in a couple of questions time. Now, the next thing that you want to be thinking about is your brand. So first of all is like, what is your brand for your company, which is the logo, the color palette, all that type of stuff. I'm not going to dive into that now. You probably know all of that. But specifically when creating content for social media is, as an expert or as a company, you typically want to have three things that you talk about, or three pillars, or like the big three topics that you talk about within your business. So let's say that you're a health coach, for example. So the things that, so the things that you'll talk about are nutrition. So the best way to feed your body. And then the second thing you talk about might be mindfulness. So your mental and emotional health. And then the third thing as a health coach that you might talk about is exercise. So how many times you should be exercising on a daily basis and things like that. So they're your three pillars. Every single piece of content that you create falls under those three pillars, because if you go too broad, your audience doesn't know who you are and what you're talking about. Whereas if we find that like three is probably the best to keep people engaged, so that you're not talking about the same thing all the time, but you've got enough variety that helps people, that all sort of talks to each other as well. So like the three examples that I just gave you there, they all sort of tie in with each other. Without good nutrition and exercise, you're not going to get or can accelerate the results that you'll get from doing that, and so forth. So so Tara says, helps with the different screen orientation of Instagram and YouTube videos, maybe. Yeah, that's the other thing as well with square videos. When you're creating a YouTube video, they're 16:9, like this video here. However, on social media, you don't really want to be putting up 16:9 videos, because most of the traffic that consumes your videos on Facebook and Instagram are by mobile. And if you've got your mobile up like that, then only like the top third of that screen is actually going to be the video. So it's all about taking up the entire screen with your videos, right? To take up that real estate, so people don't get distracted and things like that. So yeah, that's exactly why. Let me go back to my notes. So yeah, what are your three things? And then you just, all of the content that you create is rotated around them. And it doesn't matter whether you're creating video content, images, audio, or written. You just keep cycling through all of those different things. So and realizing that it can change. Another thing with what I'm doing, so like two things happen on my YouTube channel, which is VanLIFE, and then becoming a digital nomad. So they're the two things that I talk about. And I'm looking at adding a third thing, but I'm also testing on what are some of the third things that people are resonating with, that they will actually want to consume as well. So that you might only have two things for now, and then you can start to like do a very infrequent test of different types of content to see what people are relating to. And then once you find that opening of a bit of content that gets a lot of engagement, then you know to double down on that and add that as one of your pillars as well. And then you create a whole host of different playlists around that. So let's dive into that one level deeper. So going back to the health coach example, we talked about the three pillars were nutrition, mindfulness, and exercise. So let's take nutrition, for example. So when you're starting to create content, you put out a video about nutrition, and let's say that you talk about plant-based nutrition, and that takes off for you. So now you want to go a little bit of a level deeper with that for like the next, and create a little bit of a series on that, because you know people in your audience are resonating with that particular topic. So you might go a little bit deeper on that, and it might be like the top 5 reasons why plant-based nutrition will help you achieve your goals faster. And then it might be, here's 5 recipes for your plant-based nutrition that is going to build your immunity. And then it might be, here the number 1 reason why plant-based is essential for your health. So you're like, as much as you like stay around that topic that starts to get traction, hopefully your audience is going to continue to engage more and more, and then hopefully they share it out. If you're doing like an SEO type platform like YouTube or Pinterest, then the more that the algorithm identifies you for a particular keyword or a particular topic, it starts to show you higher and higher and higher in the algorithm, because they know that people are resonating with that. Like for me, for example, I've identified that on my YouTube channel, something that people resonate with the most around the van life videos is stealth camping, which is essentially me just camping on the street. So that's why I now on my YouTube channel have 3 videos around stealth camping. I have a playlist around stealth camping, and I'm probably going to release another 2 on that series before I actually move on to something else. And it's sometimes a bit of a challenge as a business owner or as a content creator for us to get our head around, because a lot of the same information is going to be repeated in all of those videos. And we feel like we're saying the same thing over and over again, but just by putting a little bit of a different angle on it, it feels completely new for the people who are watching, who are interested in that. But also, the most of the people who watch are not going to see all of those videos anyway. So you're doing it to sort of attract different parts of that very sub niche, if you know what I mean. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know. But yeah, basically to recap, have your 3 pillars that you want to talk about. Start putting out content, rotate around all of those different things. When you find something that like breaks through and starts to get a bit of traction, create a bit of a playlist, or just go deeper on those particular topics. And that will be a fast way to watch your audience grow. All right. So when moving on to the next thing, which is follow people in your niche. Is there anything that you want to talk about up until now? We've got about 20 minutes left of this training. Okay. If anything pops up, guys, just pop it in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer, but I'm going to continue on. So next thing is following people within your niche, and sometimes just outside of your niche as well, but you can relate to them and know how you can use what they're doing in their business. So there's 2 reasons why you want to follow people within your niche. Firstly, one of the things, after working with a whole host of clients and a whole host of really successful business owners. Well, before I dive into this, Tara says, how do you narrow down the 3 pillars besides trial and error? I mean, okay, that ties in perfectly with what I'm about to say right now. Thanks for that question. So one of the things that I've seen with the most successful business owners, and I've worked directly with an entrepreneur who's worth $30 million, has an 8-figure business. And I've been fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with him and understand, what's the difference between someone who makes less than $1 million versus someone who makes between $1 million to $10 million a year and is worth that $30 million. And something that I learned from him that was super powerful, and that is actually so simple, yet a lot of people overlook, is they're constantly looking for world's best practice. So what does that look like tangibly? That means that they're following every single person in their niche and scheduling time in their diary every single week to look at what they're doing. But when what makes the difference between people who make, 100 grand versus those who are making $10 million is the ones who are making 100 grand find what people are doing that is working, and they rip that content almost identically and put it straight out without any thought around how they could improve it. Whereas the people who are looking at it from a lot of experience are saying, okay, these are the patterns that I'm seeing from all of the best in my industry. I'm looking at their engagement. I'm not looking at what they're saying so much. I'm looking at what they're doing. And these are the results that I'm seeing them get. Now, how does this fit into my business and how I'm operating right now? And what can I do to make it better? And it's that, especially that final line, or those final 2 questions, is how does it fit into my business and what can I do to make it better? Because not every business is created equally, right? And not every personality is created equally. So what might work for someone, that it won't actually necessarily work for someone else. So, however, you know your business better than anybody, and you know what you want to achieve better than anybody. So by taking all of the stuff that you learn and research about others and then putting it into your business and your context, then that's the thing that makes a massive difference. So that's reason number 1 why you want to be following people. The second reason is for algorithm purposes. So whether this is YouTube, whether this is Facebook, Instagram, whatever, when you comment and engage and like and follow the people who are in your industry, there's no one that can really prove this, but it's been a common thing that a lot of people are saying, is the algorithm will start to associate you with those people as well. So that's why you want to optimize your profiles and everything to be completely aligned with your keywords on who you are and who you serve. And you want to follow those people and like and engage with those accounts as well. So you'll see this with some of the big accounts. I know for a period of time, people like, I think it was like Lewis Howes and what's the other guy, like Prince Ia and like Jay Shetty. I think like they sort of had like this thing going on where they'd associate themselves with each other all the time. They'd share each other's content and they comment on each other's posts, and like I guess you call it an engagement pod, which I definitely don't like, but they were associating themselves within that sort of niche and that category so that the algorithm would help find the right people to show their content to. So don't do engagement pods and things like that. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying associate yourself with those people so the algorithm picks it up, but don't be like super spammy and like try and hack the system. Hacks never work on social media. It all comes down to building really solid long-term strategy that people love. And as soon as people love it, that's when you'll see a massive growth. All right. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to dive into some of the tools and stuff now for you guys, because that's pretty important when it comes to social media. So if there's any more questions, pop them in there now. What's the number one thing that you've learned and you're going to take action on? There's five people online, so pop that in the comment box now. All right. So I'm about to dive into tools. A quick little overrun on video editing for virtually no cost, scheduling tools, and planning ahead. And then I can send you a link to some resources as well if you do want to check them out. So number one thing, you guys in the comments box right now, come on. Tara, sorry, thinking. Thinking's good. It's actually interesting you say that. When I started, I used to be a big doer, right? Like I would just like do all the time. I'd like work an entire day, no worries. When I started to schedule time for simply doing nothing but thinking, it actually made quite a big difference. And so, however, if you're in the early days, definitely do more than think. But thinking is highly beneficial as well to sort of help you work through some thoughts. So John says, learn more about YouTube and Pinterest. Awesome. Love that. And Tara says, to be honest, the mindset thing is next on my list. Mindset is everything. Like seriously, is absolutely everything. So definitely tune in day number 5, Tara. That's going to be, that is going to be very important for you. And yes, you're completely right there. All right. Let's dive into these tools. So tool number 1, and whether you're creating videos or doing written, one of your best friends in the early days is going to be Canva. So canva.com, which is canva.com. Most people have probably heard about this right now. It's a successful Australian startup, which is another reason why I love it. But it's literally changed my life. This particular software. It's completely free. I actually use the paid version now for a number of different reasons, but you can get started for free. And it's become 1,000 times better since I started using it like 5 years ago. And it makes it so easy for non-designers to create highly professionally designed images, documents, anything. Like you probably won't believe this, but all of the images, ebooks, pretty much everything you see in my brand now is done through Canva. I went through a period where we were just hiring designers to use Photoshop and things like that. And the quality was maybe like 5% better with Photoshop. But if I wanted to get in and make a quick change, I didn't want to just go in and learn Photoshop just to make a quick change. And I'd have to rely on someone else to to actually make those changes, which could actually be detrimental to like getting things out there quickly or fixing a mistake and things like that. So now like I have everything designed in Canva, and sometimes I'll jump in there and design stuff myself. Like I still do all the YouTube thumbnails myself, but other times I will, and then other times I will create the actual template to be used. Like for example, when doing a summit, there's a lot of images to create that are the same style. So I'll create like the template of what I like, and then I'll just hire a VA or get my assistant to do the rest of it, which is just like switching in the headlines and the names and the images of each different speaker and things like that. So you can save so much money by using something like Canva. And the other best thing is they've already got templates there for pretty much everything that you want. So I wouldn't suggest just taking an already designed template and then just putting it straight out there, because that's what everyone does, and you'll probably be called out on it, or people who are in the game will sort of know. But if you take the template and then make a few edits, then you can have really highly professionally designed stuff for free, basically. And it's super easy. You can even get it on your phone, so you can create Instagram stories, super easy. But Canva will absolutely be your best friend moving forward. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. So Tara says, been using it for years, business and personal. I love Canva. Absolutely. Video editing, iMovie is one of the best ones for Mac. I need to get this information. I'm actually not even sure for Windows. I haven't used Windows for forever, and I can't ever see myself doing that. So iMovie is really good for the simplicity of it. Every single video I've ever created in my entire life has been done through iMovie. Sometimes I'll do some sub edits on Filmora, which has a little bit more flexibility, but iMovie is so quick and easy to use, and you can get it 90% of the way there, which is good enough to start. You know, I don't even see myself getting off iMovie until maybe 50,000 subscribers on YouTube or more. I just don't see the benefit in that yet. And actually, to be honest, I'll probably never edit on anything else besides iMovie. If I want something higher quality, I'll just hire someone. So iMovie will be your best friend. And then another one, which I'm going to do a separate training on another time, is creating all those square images in Keynote. And I actually found out, because my my assistant was doing this, you can actually create them in PowerPoint as well. So you can actually like YouTube trainings on this, how to create square videos on Keynote or how to create square videos on PowerPoint. But this is a simple way to create those square videos that is going to allow you to post them on social media and get better engagement. Another tool that I use in conjunction with that is Subly. And I was a part of this. I mean, I have no association with this particular website whatsoever. I did get access to their beta version, which was a completely different website. I don't even remember what it was called, but it's called getsubly.com. So GETSUBLY. I think it's still free to sign up. It might not be, but basically, once you've created one of those square videos, you upload it into this platform, and then it will automatically transcribe the transcription onto the bottom of the video. And then you can like style the transcription, or you can edit this transcription as well at first, because it's automated. So there's sometimes mistakes, but you can change the style of the font and the colors and things like that. And then it will burn it into the video, and then you export it out. It's probably the best one that I've seen. I've also purchased other ones. I forget the names of the other ones. So like you'll see some Facebook ads if you are in looking for these types of things of other tools out there. Actually, I've got it saved in my favorites. Wrapper is another one. So WRAPR. That one was a little bit confusing. I didn't find it as fast and easy, but GetSubly is pretty good. So you GetSubly. I just put it in the chat for you now, John. I think it's getsubly.com or something like that, or just type that into Google and you'll be able to find that. But yeah, it's a brand new startup, so I think they're just launching. I don't even know if they're charging for it yet. So jump in now, secure your account. It's going to be highly beneficial for you. So yeah, they're the tools that we use to create it for free, essentially. And the other ways to do it is just by hiring someone on Upwork. They can do them fairly cheaply as well. But if you have the time and not the money, then they're the options to do it for free. Sometimes people ask about scheduling tools. So you've got like things like Hootsuite and and things like that. I've tried some of them in the past. I've never been a huge fan. If you've got a big social media following, they might be worth it to keep people engaged. But all of the platforms now have some sort of scheduling tool or component that allows you to schedule ahead of time. So I'd just be using the inbuilt ones. The reason why is because you're at no risk to them lowering the reach. Sometimes, I'm not sure how it is now, but back in the day, they used to lower the reach for any post that was scheduled through a third party. I don't think it is now, because a lot of them are actually integrated with Facebook and approved by Facebook. But yeah, it's always best. I think it's always best, especially in the early days, just to schedule through Facebook or Instagram or whatever. You can actually pre-schedule Instagram posts now as well. So check that out in your business manager. And then the final thing that I want to touch on is planning ahead. So in the early days, I only recommend planning ahead 2 to 4 weeks, because things can change so quickly. I know for me, I've wasted, and the reason why I know this is because I have so much experience in wasting time and energy and money. So there's so many things that I've planned ahead, like 6 months, 12 months, and it changes so rapidly because of not meeting targets or seeing a new opportunity that your audience is resonating with, or all of those types of things. So only plan 2 to 4 weeks in ahead. Create content at least initially 2 to 4 weeks in ahead. Once you start getting traction, that's when you can create further ahead, because things change so quickly in the early days. You've got to be ready to pivot very quickly in the early days. And that's not giving up at all. Like, the amount of times that I've pivoted is crazy. But you've just got to be, you've got to be ready to do that. And like John, totally relate. Good at wasting time. I've wasted way too much time over the years. And this has probably been one of my biggest learnings, is to just be 2 to 4 weeks ahead in the early days. That's what I'm not saying long term. I mean, in the very early days, 2 to 4 weeks. That way you can like start to create content that is going to be engaging with your audience. And the benefit of like not being planned too far ahead is, as soon as you see something that's working, double down on it and just keep doubling down on it until it's not working. You'll find another break off and then keep doubling down on that, and you'll start to get a lot of traction. So guys, that is pretty much me. The only final thing that I had was, if you do want to see not so much social media resources, but more digital business resources, some of the things that I've used over the years, some of the things that I recommend in terms of hosting, building funnels, some programs, all of that type of stuff, just go to mitchasser.com/resources. I popped that in the chat, and there's a few recommendations of the things that I've used in there. And yeah, you can like, if you want to buy something through there, they are affiliate links. So I'll get a little bit of a kickback. It's definitely not going to change my life, but I do appreciate it if you did. What was the last video editing one you mentioned? Oh yes, that was the bonus, the one Rapper. So WRAPR.com. That is a paid one. I'm not sure. I think I paid maybe $50 for a lifetime membership or something like that. Let me put that in the chat. I saw that through a Facebook ad. I went through their funnel. I bought their stuff. It's good, but Keynote is actually so much faster, and PowerPoint so much faster, and probably just as good, if not better. So I would just use them. Guys, I'm about to wrap it up here. I'm actually, for the first time, I'm taking some time to myself today. I'm actually going for a float, massage, and sauna session in 15 minutes. So I need to make a move. However, if there are more questions, I'm like 100% going to get to them this week. We've got 4 more training sessions coming up throughout the rest of the week. So definitely, if you can make it, be on those calls. If you can't, submit your questions beforehand. If you watch it and then want to submit more questions afterwards, then definitely do that as well. I will come back each morning or each of the following day. And if there's questions to be answered about the previous one, then I'll take care of them first before we dive into today's topic. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Like I said, for the first time in a long time, I'm taking some time to myself. I definitely needed that after putting together a summit, which is a whole lot of work. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, your night, wherever you are right now. Thanks for joining me live. I do appreciate you being here. I'm excited to help you accelerate the growth of your digital business or your digital career, and get you out there living the life of your dreams as well. So can't wait to chat again tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.